Hello, hello. Happy Tuesday. Hey, Mr. Magoo. Nix, your watch streak reset? No. How'd that happen? Hey, Diginanigans. How's it going? We're pretty much at the end of the year here. And yet there's so much to do. I'm pretty much back to normal. I'm not sick anymore. That lingering cold for like a week was rough, but it's all right. We survived, and now we're back to game dev. Still refactoring as always. How's everyone doing? I'm finishing up some toast with some coffee. Still got most of my coffee left, thankfully. Nanigans, not too bad. Hammer out a few small projects before taking off 2 weeks for the holidays. Ooh, nice, nice. Yeah, there probably won't be any streams next week. I'm gonna be going home for the holidays too. But this week should be normal. Oh yeah, I was working on stuff last night and I just left a bunch of errors in place. Nix, you're working on caves today. You created a cool, albeit simple geometry node that does the texturing for the walls, ceiling, and floor. Geometry node is really neat. Yeah, I gotta try geometry node out sometime. I haven't done any procedural stuff like that. All right. Well, we're still working on a refactor. I'm developing parallel systems that handle a lot of the same stuff the old systems handle, just with our new framework. I swapped a bunch of stuff out, and now I am fixing it. Right, because everything still runs on forms. Okay. It's a little awkward having to create parallel structures for everything. Oh my god. Nix with the resubscribe at tier 1. 7 months. Yeah, time flies. Thank you so much. Nanigans, you have a few personal projects you're trying to get wrapped up for Christmas as well? Nice, nice. You're making some custom D&D minis that you're mostly got printed. You just need to paint up. Oh, that's great. You want to finish up the custom player journals you started ages ago? It's really coming along, but you're running out of time. Share in the Discord when things are finished. Yeah, I'd love to see that. I would love to have the time to do all that, like dungeon master stuff. That'd be cool. I've only tried to DM once, and I really didn't have the time dedicated to it. It didn't really work out. But I would love to do more of that obvious stuff in the future. All right, so we're just gonna go down a line here and start swapping things out. So we have a new cutaway block thing. We're gonna not use a 3D, we're gonna use a 2D cutaway block. We're not gonna use this. We got bit field 64. Hey Rhiannon Journey, how's it going? Board game.board.xy, I guess. Oh, how did I cast this down before? Okay, I can just turn this into a rect, right? Rect. I'm gonna finish up my last little piece of toast here, don't mind me. How's it going, everybody? It's a lot of red. Yeah, I was working on this last night. I swapped out like a hull for like a new type, and I'm just swapping types out. I'm trying to do this refactor like in parallel to the stuff that we already have going, which means doing up like new versions of everything, which involves a lot of copy and pasting and then changing little stuff. So yeah, we're just going to be going through that. How's it going, Mr. Magoo? You hopped into the chat like, I want to say like 3 seconds after I went live.
What in the name of heaven is this?
Pretty incredible. What? Rhiannon with the 10 months. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for subscribing with Prime. Thank you for starting a hype train. Really appreciate you both. Magoo, yours is in 3 days. Your subversary. Nice. Yeah, I really appreciate it. Y'all. Appreciate the support. Alright, so we're gonna do some find and replace stuff. That create more? Not really. All right. Oh yeah, so some of this stuff is actually has to kind of fundamentally change here. So we don't really have deriving this different kind of layer data. We do need door layer data. I also don't know if I want to call this a bulk. I don't want to just call it a hull. Mr. Magoo with the 600 bits. Thank you so much for getting us up to the level 2 hype train. I really appreciate that. I need to get some more sound effects and stuff and fun stuff to happen. We'll work on that stuff next year. We're at the time of year where anytime there's anything I need to do, I'm like, we'll work on that next year. I'll just have to actually make it happen, though. I do want to make it happen. All right, so the cutaways are going to be interesting. We have to work on these pretty differently. All of this is actually going away because we're not going to do this in place. So that's fine. Get rid of that. Probably don't need this either. So we need to know about the cutaways, though. Okay, but we're not going to define them here. We're just going to pull them in from... Let's see. Game.cutaway system. Probably make a new cutaway system called like a block cutaway system. Yeah, we will. Oh, this is a system group. I really appreciate that, Mr. Magoo. How are you doing? How's work going on your OS? All right, we got to make this system now. I've implemented a system group that is going to control a lot of these. I still haven't decided if I want to have separate instances of the systems for each system group, or it'll be just different contexts to run the same systems. We'll have to see. Oops. Yeah, we're doing a lot of weird stuff right now. That's kind of what we got to do. I'm kind of committed to doing this all in parallel. All right, let's fix this. Oh, this is a buffer 2D. Thank you all so much. We got to Hype Train level 2. Hype Train completes at level 2. Thank you for the 2 sub gifts. Or the 2 subs and 600 bits. Let's open this hype chest. Ooh, the confetti hype. Oh, Mr. Magoo, look at that. You got the Hype Train conductor badge. Looks good on you. Very nice. All right, so these functions aren't going to work. So the tile atlas also needs to change a little bit because we don't have these. No, we still... No, we're not splitting these anymore. Right. So this needs to change. I'm going to call this tile.source instead. Where's this stored? Right here. Okay. Make a tile folder. Is this the right order? Public read only, partial record struct? Yeah. So default is 0. Overlay is 1. And then it's going to be like haul. I guess it's 2. I'm going to need to include door sources. Okay. All right, let's look at these functions first because we really only need 1 or 2 of these. The deck one doesn't make any sense. So there's a lot of hull type checking that we're going to be doing, but not like this. Choo choo, Mr. Magoo. Very nice. Coffee is good. Coffee is life. Yeah, I acknowledge this refactor is going to take a while. I'm trying to tear through it as quickly as possible. I was working on it yesterday. I'll keep working on it tonight. So it's not going to be super continuous. Man, the door layer data thing here is going to be really annoying. For people who aren't sure what we're doing, we're changing our block types from this compound structure, which was this whole big space. It had reserved space in it. So it had like a floor piece and then like the empty space above it, which could be filled. And so it was like floor space, that's a block. And then you'd have another one. And so the decks were very uniform and even, but we're switching to a different system where the block is just a block. And you can build spaces out of them, but it does mean that when we're doing these kinds of evaluations, it's a lot more, there's going to be a lot more checking of things of like, oh, is there an empty space? How big is the empty space? Like, we have systems in place to handle this. It's just requiring us to rethink a lot of stuff. Ooh, Rhiannon Journey, you got a new conductor badge too. Ooh, look at you. Oh, that's interesting. Did you tie because sub is worth the same? Oh, that's cool. Hopefully Nick's got one too. Look at you with shiny hype train conductors. That's too funny. Well, I'm glad. I really appreciate that. All right, so the need for doing all of this in parallel. Okay, so there's also game.nodes. This list can't be, this list I just need to add to. So I'm gonna say, what are we gonna call this? Yeah, we'll figure that out in a second. This layer thing where we determine what hulls, what we're actually doing, I say derived deck layer data, all we're really doing is specifying the hull type. So that should probably be what this is called. Like private void get block hull type for 3D. Do I need to know the rooms to do this? Why? Oh, right, okay. That's really what we're doing here, is we're getting the block hull type. Oh, it's probably because it was a renewal. Yeah, they count renewals differently. They count renewals differently than a fresh sub, and a prime is considered a fresh sub because it's not renewing. Kind of weird. Kind of weird how they track all that stuff, but I don't mind. I appreciate you all. I'm gonna call this tier. Has any? I have like a block types struct. Right now, all it says is whether it's like a bulk. I think I'm going to change that to hull. Like whether it's a piece of the hull or it's like a door. And it's weird because a door is a piece of the hull. So I kind of want to switch to using one of our buffer 2Ds for this. It's really the difference between having one buffer that has a lot of type data and switching to many buffers that each contain just one bit per block. I was looking at it, it's kind of inefficient the way I've structured, the way I've considered setting up these buffer 2Ds. So instead of a buffer 3D, which is like indexed by X, Y, and Z, the buffer 2D is just X and Y, and then implicit in the bit field is the Z dimension because it's 64 values or 64 flags because it's a bit field. And so that represents that last dimension. That's kind of inefficient if we're iterating by Z level, because it means we're going to hit those structures over and over and over again every time we're... It would almost be better to treat the bit field as the first dimension, like the X dimension or something like that. Or change the way I'm iterating. It's fine to do the many buffers that store only one value approach if I'm not using many of those. Like if I don't need to cross-compare many of them. But if I have to cross-compare a lot of them, then it makes sense to just have one buffer that includes all these different flags. So I feel like that's, in the long run, the better thing to do, is to not try to be cute and have these 2D buffers that represent just a single bit flag per block coordinate, but to try to put it all together. But then you have things of like, is it meaningful to have a door that isn't a hull type? If you apply the door, should it automatically add the hull type to it? If it doesn't, is it a problem? Do I need a system that automatically manages those dependencies, what I would call like type dependencies, which we previously had, but I don't love. I don't like managing that. So I don't know. There is just a general problem in that we're very heavy on buffers and very light on actual components, which implies that we have very few entities that have a lot of buffers, which means we're not really doing the ECS thing correctly, which is fine because you shouldn't store spatial data in a component, like in an individual component. You shouldn't like try to represent a space with components because the components are going to be accessed randomly, so you won't be able to do any spatial stuff in order, which is why we have the buffers. It's just weird. It's a little awkward. It's certainly not ideal. Let's maybe forget about doors for now. It's probably the thing to do. Is to just not worry about the doors. Try to get this working and with one type, which is just the hull type. And then figure out how to layer the doors on top of that. It makes you wonder if you actually want to have the cutaway as a separate buffer, even. Or just put that in like block types, or it's almost more like block properties. Properties is just a long thing. It's a long word to use. We previously called it block forms, which I kind of like. I like properties because it implies that you can have multiple of them. Types is a little weird, but types is short, so we're going to probably keep using the word types. But yeah, let's keep doing that where we have block types. I'll probably just add cutaways to the list of types. And that way we're not storing separate data. That does add a read-write dependency, though, to the block types. It makes the block types dependencies a little more complicated. Yeah, whatever. I don't know. Has any. Types.span. Get block hull type. All right, let's fix this. Block.types. Yes, I call this bulk. I don't think I want to call it a bulk anymore. I think I just want to call it a hull. So right now we have a hull, a door. Yeah, I think calling this types in the long run is the wrong word. But here I want to have like, so in addition to door, I want something like call. That's not really a type, but it's like, it's like a thing of like, call this. I don't know. I don't know if the call should be in there. We could do the opposite. We could actually have, instead of call, it could be like draw. And then draw could be like, you could presume that you don't draw something unless you say that you do. Just almost better. Almost better than doing the opposite of presuming you draw everything except what you call. I don't know. One is certainly more error prone than the other, I guess. I don't know. This is the problem with refactoring stuff like this is it makes you question your assumptions. It makes you question the things you've done previously. could do like block.props. Then it sounds like I'm talking about props like theater props. I don't know. Weird. I don't know. So the relative position is types ABB, view relative. So what we do here for our type data, we look at the X, we look at the Y. We need to look at the negative Z. Oh yeah, there's tile layers now, right, too. What do I want to do with this? We used to have 10 different layers. We were simplifying this. I think instead of tile.sources, tile.layers is the right word, but I think I'm going to call it like temporarily, I'm going to call it like block.faces or something. It's actually really just XYZ. So we could actually use axis. We could use our our vector3.axis structure for this instead, actually. Oh, but wait, we have... Oh my lord. Sapphire coming in with the subscribe for 3 months. Hard to believe it's only been 3 months. Thank you. Nice badge. I think that's the tin badge. Looks nice. Thank you so much. How's it going? Happy Tuesday. So the holes has a vector4 key that's the position of the tile and also the layer that it's on. And for us, that's all we really need, isn't it? So again, I think I could use the axis. I could use the vector axis. I mean, I shouldn't. I should use my own thing, but x equals 0, y equals 1, z equals 2, w equals 3. That's a little weird. I should probably specify something else. I already have a block.faces. Do we use it for anything? No, we do not. Okay, so we're going to say X. Yeah, we'll just do X, Y, and Z. We'll use this. Why not? Sapphire, honestly, things have been kind of rough today. Things will work. You're home now. Maybe more of a lurker today. No worries. Yeah, sorry. The holidays for work are usually really hard, especially if you're customer facing. It gets crazy. People go crazy this time of year. Oh, this coffee is good. I want to drink it before it gets cold. Hope everyone has a nice warm beverage for this cold weather, if that's what they want. I'm sure Nyx is probably eating ice cream or something. I hope everyone else has a nice warm beverage. All right, so tracking the doors separately makes sense. That's what we do here. So dictionary, tiles, block.block.haul, door.tile. This door structure thing is probably going to change a little bit. Just a cold, empty energy drink. You've got a customary Red Bull. Oh my god, Rihanna Journey. I guess whatever works. Sapphire, you're more of a cold beverage guy yourself. You just got yourself some grape soda. You're waiting for it to get cold in the fridge. Ooh, nice. Yeah, I hate that. I hate when you buy like a case of something and you're just having to wait for it to get cold. I'm a coffee and tea person. We'll have like a LaCroix. We'll have like a sparkling water with dinner or lunch or something. But we don't do a lot of sugary flavored stuff. I like the sweet and spicy, like hot beverages, like hot like spiced apple cider would be really nice. Hot tea with lots of honey, like a hot chai tea or something. This stuff keeps me going. All right, 98 errors. 98 errors, and they're all fine because we're actually having to change a lot of this stuff. Sending the tile source data into this function. It's a little weird. But that's because we're separated outline from texture. If I didn't do that, I could just pass in a Boolean that specifies whether it's a hull type or not. We could change this function to not require this tile.sources thing. But first things first. So we have our get block hull type function. Takes in the rooms and the types. I need a better solution for this rooms thing. Right now we can only support 64 room. You know, actually the 64 room limit is probably not a problem anymore now that we're doing just a 64 by 64 by 64 grid of blocks. Yeah, maybe it's a problem. That damn OS is gonna be the death of you. We'll see. I hope not. Sapphire, you'll occasionally have some hot chocolate, otherwise you don't do much hot drink. Interesting. Oop, I got someone. We got someone trying to get us the cheap viewers. I don't like the cheap viewers. I like the viewers I got. I mean, I'm always happy to have more, but you know.
He's dead, Jim.
Ha, got you. Faked you out. No, I'm kidding. I just forgot to ban this person. Preemptively dead. Yeah, that was on me.
He's dead, Jim.
Yeah, we got him. We've also been having a lot of problem with spam bots in Discord, so sorry for that. I try to hop on that as soon as I see it, but it's really annoying. It's been happening to a lot of Discords I'm in, and I've been looking into it, and I don't think there's much we can do. We already have all the onboarding stuff that's supposed to protect us from these things. All right, so let's do this thing. So we need to define different. So instead of this int tile.layers.deckplatex, we need to do something else with that. Oh, we're gonna just do block faces. Right. So we're gonna say block rooms, X block rooms. Yeah, we can't use the relative position though. We have to go through this dance of types. Well, we don't really need to do it this way. Let's get this chord once. We'll say vector 3i x chords. Yeah, I'll say something like this. I wonder if this is something else we could put in types or properties or something, instead of having this separate buffer of rooms. Because we don't actually scrutinize this buffer, I don't think. All we do is ask if it has a room. It seems really wasteful to get this whole buffer just to ask that question. But I guess we're doing a similar thing with the types. Yeah, maybe we just need a block properties buffer, and that's all we do, and we don't try to keep swapping this stuff out. Sapphire, you remember seeing Discord have a channel that was clearly labeled "Do Not Post" and also clearly explained that anyone that posted in it would be automatically banned for purposes of dealing with spam bots? That's funny. You think that they may have had it so that you had to react to something to get a role that would grant you access to the normal channels and that would prevent the bots from posting in all the channels when they appear? That's the only thing I've heard that might work, is the whole you have to like read through the rules and react a certain way, and that's what gives you the role that lets you post. I have to think about that. Shenanigans. Yeah, you see it all over the place too. About a third of the Discords you're in just randomly have all their threads with notifications and no new posts because of spam and ban. Small thing on Discord's end would be nice if they did, is if there is a new post that gets deleted before you ever seen it, don't show that it's new. Yeah. You know, I think I might call these tags instead of types. And then it's a little more reasonable that I just have a buffer of tags that I can pull. So we could say like room. And because it's an enum, I believe it will be whatever size I need it to be. I don't know what happens if it exceeds like a U long, but I guess we'll find out. Yeah, we're changing this. Yeah, I don't know if you could. The thing about removing people who post in a channel that says do not post is that the spam bots post in every channel simultaneously when they post. What they do is they wait like 15, 20 minutes or something, because they wait a period of time because most servers have limitations on how long you have to be in the server before you're allowed to post. But the react to a thing in the rules, like a thumbs up, like you need to do a thumbs up to be able to post or something. I have to look into that, but I think that's going to be the sort of thing that we do if we want to solve this in the long term. Yeah. No, I think the react to an emote thing is or react to the rules post giving like a thumbs up or something. Because for one thing, there's an affirmative, like you've definitely agreed to the rules, which is good for enforcement of the rules. I'll think about it. I have to check a couple of servers I'm in that still have this Discord problem, this spam bot problem, because I think they have that. And it doesn't seem to be helping, but I might be wrong. I want to do a little more research. But I think that might be a reasonable approach. Okay, I like block tags. We're back to 99 errors. Yeah, it's definitely worth looking into. I agree. So this isn't block types anymore. This is block tags now. I have to change this buffer. Yeah, I think I want to get rid of. I've been going buffer happy here, and I need to get rid of some of these. I think we're taking the wrong approach. All right, let's fix some of the stuff here though, so we don't have a bulk tag. So what we do is a hull. Actually, shouldn't this be default? Is there not an error in here? No? Okay. All right. Okay, the tool system I did yesterday that works. This is the tile system we're working on now. A little more complicated. I think the react to the rules to get general access thing is pretty standard. You do have to do that pretty regularly. Yeah, I think it's reasonable. I just am not sure if that actually stops spammers. It's worth a try, though. Let's get rid of these because we're not going to use these. Instead, what we're going to do is we're going to say get block all types. You can also say determine, but get seems fine. And then, yeah, we are not going to pass in the whole rooms buffer. We're just going to pass in this tags buffer. We don't need both because we're not actually scrutinizing. So it's going to be preview block tags. At some point, we will need to know the room data, maybe. Maybe not. Actually, nobody uses this. Just curious. Oh, nobody uses it. Okay, that was just for that function. Yeah, let's get rid of it then. Oh, so this is actually needs to be preview block tags. We need to say block editor system group dot preview blocks. Similarly, I don't actually think we're going to use this either. Magoo. Everyone's been calling you their right-hand man after breaking your right wrist. Oh my god. Now YouTube Music recommends the song Right Hand Man. It's so funny. It's concerning because I swear these systems are listening to us. Like, the number of times I'll have a conversation with someone and then Google or YouTube or something is like, are you interested in this? And I'm like, I know I didn't give you microphone permission. I know you're not listening in on me right now. But I feel like they are. All right. Let's keep it going. Let's keep it going here. So this null list thing, I think I'm actually going to put this at the end, and it's going to be optional. I think we're going to change that. So I think I want something instead, which is like this, like get tile map layer data. It's going to be something like the node that we're targeting. What actually does this pull in? Cutaways, a mask. I can make this neutral. I can make this optional. Put it after the target node. Like that. And then in fact, So we do all of this and we pack it out. We actually output it right here. I think it should be called set tile map layer data then. Set tile map layer data. It's actually going to be setting that stuff. And then in this case, actually all we need to do is say something like game.nodes. And I just need the name of the layer that we're interested in, like this one or something. Do something like that instead of having all this extra stuff. And then if I need to, I can put in the mask if it's something that has a mask. But let's keep going with this process here. So I don't need this rooms thing. I also don't need the coords. I can just say block tags, X tags, will be tags dot get or default say block tags, Y tags, defaults tags dot getter default. All right, we're heading into ads. Hold on to your ads. And for the Z layer, we're just looking at ourselves previously, but now I need the Z tags. Do we need to know our own tags? I guess would be the question. Actually, this is minus vector3i dot z. Oh, Sapphire, you're now in season 2 of Babylon 5. Tubi put the gathering that you were talking about as the last episode of season 1. Okay, that's reasonable, I guess. That helps you get a lot of context going into season 2, for sure. I'm glad Tubi had that. That's great you're in season 2. Yeah, we were talking about it before, and I was like, I want to talk about the main character that you haven't met yet. Who doesn't show up until season 2. Just kind of a wild thing to do. But that's good. You met Sheridan then. All right, so now we can do this check here. So we can say Halls new vector 4i relative position. What I want to do here is I want to say int, and I want to say block.faces.x. Doesn't really matter what the value of it is as long as it's consistent with that definition. So we just say xtags.has block.tags.haul. Why doesn't this work? Oh, right. So it does block.hull. Kind of sad to see Commander Sinclair leave, honestly. You kind of liked him. Yeah, Sinclair was good. They ended up having to write his character out for like real world reasons, unfortunately. I think he was having like physical or mental health issues. They talked about it a lot later, you know. But yeah, I don't think that was the original intention. But you had a feeling it was something real world. It was kind of abrupt and between seasons. Yeah, exactly. It works out. It works out for the show. I actually am not. I don't understand what they would have done if Sinclair didn't leave. Honestly, but I'm not gonna get into that too much. What in the world did I call this? Oh, I'm spelling outer with too many T's. I was like, what's going on here? Oh, I need to say block.hull. So we'll just do all of this. I guess we could move these around a little bit more. But yeah, that show is so good. I'm glad you're enjoying it. Everyone in that show is such a character. Garibaldi, Ivanova, Londo, Jakar. Everybody. Sapphire was honestly a little weird. They put the pilot at the end of season 1. So one episode Garibaldi's tying, then the next you're back before everything happened. Oh yeah, I could see that being confusing. Yeah, that show had it struggled a lot for the production of that show. That would just be a thing Tubi would have done though. Yeah. No, that show had a hard time with its production. I'm sorry you're having to reset a months of progress, Magoo. That sounds terrible. Hopefully you have some version control. Unless you mean you worked in the wrong direction for a month, which I've definitely done. Yeah. The drama of that show is that J. Michael Straczynski, the creator of the show, brought the show to the people who make Star Trek and pitched it to them, and they turned it down, and then went and made Deep Space Nine. That's the drama. That's what people believe happened. I think there's maybe some dispute about the timeline, but when you see the two shows, Deep Space Nine and Babylon 5 together, it's hard to dispute. So that show always struggled. It never really got the money that it needed. It kind of got undercut because Paramount or whoever it was at the time was like, I think it was Paramount. We're like, well, we'll just make our own, you know. They might not even felt like they were actually stealing the idea because they were like, well, we'll just put this in Star Trek. Why would we make this new IP when we could just do the same thing in Star Trek? So yeah, we're kind of lucky that Babylon 5 exists at all. But yeah, it's such a wonderful show. All right, so this is our get block haul types function. This is super straightforward, which is good. Oh, it has haul. Okay, I did this wrong. It needs to say room here. Honestly, wouldn't be surprised. PlayStation came about because Nintendo decided to go a different direction while they were working together. Oh, yeah. That's crazy. All right, good luck, Mr. Magoo. Take it easy. Yeah, I'm not stealing your idea. I'm taking it and reskinning it slightly. Or the way people usually think about it is they're like, I took your really rough idea and I made it better. I improved it. I didn't know about the PlayStation Nintendo thing. I didn't realize they were collabing on something. That's interesting though, because PlayStation went all in on like CD-ROMs and stuff like right away, right? And Nintendo took a while to head in that direction. They were still doing cartridges for a long time. All right, it seems like I'm making more errors, but that's okay. So we get our block haul types. We're going to set our tile map layer data. I need to make some more nodes. So we're going to call this like... I need a node for... We're going to say like block shape. I don't know. We could say editor blocks. Equals 9. We could also say editor overlay equals 10. I think that covers what we need right now. I arguably don't need separate tile map layers for this, but I kind of want it in case there's a world in which you can swap to the editor very quickly. In which case I would want separate ones. We'll say editor blocks. And then what we'd do is we'd have another set tile map layer data function that instead calls game.nodes.editor overlay. And this one would pass in a mask, which would be game.input.cursorbounds.toList. It would be like that. Guess I have to make this function, huh? This door data layer one is going to be weird. Let's look at the door layer data function. This one's going to be hard to do. Actually, I think we might need to take a minute on this one. This one's going to involve a lot of iterative checking. I think. Sapphire and Nintendo approached Sony to work on a disc-based system. They made it a prototype. They made it to a prototype, but Nintendo changed their mind and went back to cart. So Sony decided to take and make their own. Now we have PlayStation. Wow. Weird. Hard to believe Nintendo was that like being that conservative about it. I would imagine like Nintendo nowadays would probably be so ready to adopt a new format and be like, "What? We can sell all our games to them again at full price." Shenanigans, they're all done for the day, unless work comes back with revisions from your editor. You're gonna take time to crack away on some of those Christmas projects. Nice, nice. tentatively don't have much more work for the rest of the week, a year. Nice, nice. Pending feedback. That's great. That's great to hear. Yeah, I have a lot of work. End of year is really busy for us. I do a lot of compliance stuff, and there's always compliance stuff in the new year that needs to be ready. Always. I don't know what to do about doors right now. I think I'm just gonna axe this. Because the door logic system is super complex. And it's gonna get more complex. Which is rough. We're gonna need some kind of model on how to talk about objects that take up more than one block. I almost need a system to work on those objects at that level. Like, we could just pass in a bounds and be like, here's the door, it's this size, it takes up all these blocks, and then we could have some system that actually handles it at that level. I'm going to ignore it for now. All right, none of these cutaway functions are going to remain because this is going to be all spun off into its own system, which I've already done. These describe tile map data functions. These are going to change a bit too, but just a bit. All right, so we don't need this Atlas data thing anymore. Don't need the cutaways, really. Start with the target node and a potential mask.
Maximum warp.
Say node. I guess I should rename. Hey, No Joel. How's it going? Happy Tuesday. End of year is always swamped for you too. This year's been an anomaly. You've been quite busy off and on over the last few months, many late nights. Nothing else in the pipeline right now. That's nice. Yeah, take advantage of it. That sounds good. Yeah, I can't wait for the week between Christmas and New Year's because, like, nothing happens that week, even though it's technically like a work week. Although the week, quote unquote, between Christmas and New Year's this year is like half of a week. It's like two halves of 2 different weeks, but still. It's like an unofficial vacation. You're going to lurk for a bit? Yeah, no worries. Thanks for hanging out, Sapphire. Go do what you need to do. Or do nothing. If that's what you would like to do. As always, I appreciate everyone hanging out, especially since I'm in a very boring period of work here. Doing a lot of weird stuff. All right, so do I need any of this? So this is our early out. So we can say it's an overlay texture and the mask is not equal to null. The mask does not contain this coordinate. So we can ask this stuff. We can say if the mask is null and it doesn't contain this coordinate, or if the mask is not null, it doesn't contain this coordinate, or the cutaways. So we do want to know about the cutaways, so we actually probably need to pass in the tags. So I'm going to go back to calling this the target node. I might just call it the target. I don't know why I'm editing this function. Oh, yeah. So we're going to say set tile map data. No, it's set tile map layer data. We're going to have a buffer 3D read only, block tags. Tags. We'll say if for tags, whole key dot xyz. We'll say dot has. Here's the question. Dot has cutaway. Interesting. Say like block dot tags dot. You could say call if we want to do opt out. You could say draw if we want to do opt in. I kind of like opt in. Well, maybe not. It's probably better to do opt out. So we'll say block.tags instead of hall, door, room. Let's add a cutaway. It's easier to do it like this. This is only really a problem if we start to run out of tags. Cutaway. Maybe do it like this. All right, the switch thing is going to be weird because we don't actually do very much of this anymore. So we're going to switch off of the block.faces. All key switch. We're going to say block.faces. X. Do we need a different... These need to be different functions? Kind of, because... Oh, not really, actually. We could say something like private tile get block tile. We need this Atlas index buffer thing, I think. I don't totally remember what this is for. We're going to presume that we need that. I don't know why we call this buffer comp. So we definitely need the tags. Buffer 3D, read only. Wait, why are we bringing in the buffer component? Oh, it's because that's all we need? We just need some piece of data from the component? No, we do get the buffer here. Okay. Then why don't we just pass that in? What is this? What kind of buffer is it? An int? I'm going to say indices. I'm going to say buffer 3D read only. Block tags. Tags. Say vector. put this first. We'll say vector 4i whole key. Probably just call it a key. Oh, we do need the component. I see why we pass that in now. Let's say buffer comp. Well, I kind of want to do this differently. I see why there's 3 different functions, though. Don't call the vector eyes. Not its fault having glasses. Oh my god. You're killing me. All right, refactoring. Mask is nullable. Do it like this. I don't want to pass in the component. But I acknowledge that I kind of have to the way I've done this for some reason. I guess let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's go back to this function. I guess the question is, do we need different functions here? The only reason we have the switch is because we believe that we do. And in fact, we have a check here where we actually have to check the doors. Check to see if there's a door. Otherwise, we do something else. I don't exactly want to do that. But that's what we did, so. All right, let's examine this. Let's examine this, excuse me, component. So it has length, width, and height. When do we build these components? We build them up here for some reason. Yeah, we build them up here. So what are these? Again, I think these are our internal representations of the format, the tile set atlas format. Don't call the vector 4 eyes. Okay, yeah, I get the joke. It's good. That's funny. All right, so what we do here with this format, make this buffer, grab the format, dot x tiles across, format x tiles down. Tile set format is an entity we've made. This format, so initially we get this format. We get it from our assets. We get it from the default tile set atlas format. So we get this format, so this is our deserialization structure here. We get an array of the x tile coords. We get an x tiles across and x tiles down, y tile coords, y tiles across, y tiles down, z tile coords, z tiles across, z tiles down. These formats could be different. So like a modder who's like making their own tileset atlas sources could make their own format. Or even I myself might use a different format at some point, and maybe I don't want to go back and redo all my assets, so I just introduce a different format. We will need a system that can actually pull that in, though. So right now it's all pretty baked. And so what we do here is we pull out all the coords, we set the coords in the buffer. Does it make sense to have like some headers so that we can put this data in the... I guess it doesn't matter. It's easier to just store the component. All right, 256, x tiles across, x tiles down, 256, x tiles across, x tiles down. What's this number? 256. That's the length of the buffer. Why is it 256 though? Because there's only 47 tiles. $256 feels like the wrong size. It's like 8 by 6, 48, but one of those missing, so integer length. Why is this the length? Words.x plus. Oh, because of how we index into it. X buffer coords. Right, because we index in based on the auto tiler. Right. So this is why it's this length. It's because it's x plus y times 4 plus z times 16 plus w times 64. Oh, then shouldn't one of these w's be... start with 0? Spending time to remember how this even works. Oh, it's the atlas coords, right, duh. Okay, so we do need to know the buffer component. Okay, sure. So we need to say get block face x tile. Why not? Maybe it's get tile block face x. And so that way we can put directly in here the tile set atlas index buffer x. Say buffer comp. Might just say comp. I don't want to put it first though. We will go back to calling this the hull key. Call this the format component. And we're going to have an eye collection mask. I'm going to have it be an optional component though. So we'll ask something like oh, the cutaways are face, they're tile specific. Why? Oh, no, they're not tile specific. Okay. And not, we're going to say not has. Lock.tags.cutaway. So the source ID thing, this is interesting. So it's going to be, so we're not going to switch on this anymore. What we're going to do is we're going to say is mask, if the mask is null, then the source ID is going to be hull type. The integer of the hull type is actually going to be the reserve. So the integer of the hull type plus the source ID count that we've reserved. If it isn't null, then it's just going to be the overlay source ID index. Maybe we do this in the opposite order. I think that's right. It's easier, that's for sure. Don't need a switch. Okay, now here's the fun part, which is these auto tiling rules, which is something we're going to be flipping all the auto tiling rules upside down. We're going to be inverting them. Oh, which is going to be annoying. Let's put a pin in that one. So we're going to say something like if has edge negative x, So needing to send the cutaways in is not great. I guess we'll just pass in the tags. Send that key, the whole. Wait, did I write it like this? Okay. It's a really subtle lowercase, uppercase K difference. Send in, I can pass in the whole type and the mask. So we're going to say chords equals chords with x equals chords x plus 1. And this is the pattern we're going to use. In fact, you would almost think that we could just transform the chords. Hey, Jacob Dev, you could almost think that we wouldn't need to do this like this. We could just pass it to one function that handles this part. Have like a check edges function. It could be like chords equals like say like check edges. However, I don't think that's meaningfully different. That just hides the behavior one level down. It's some kind of this edge check function, so maybe it's not better. How's it going, Jacob? We're doing this big old refactor here. It's causing me to question a lot of assumptions I've made about things. Definitely slows you down. So when you do a big factor, you're like, well, now's my opportunity to change a bunch of stuff that wasn't worth changing before. But if I'm going to be changing this, why don't I change everything? Yeah, this whole like calling all these functions here just to transform the chords like this, it doesn't feel good. But there's no real way around that based on how I've structured this. And then we need to do corner checks. This function doesn't really do much right now, does it? It really doesn't. Well, at least we're getting, well, we're not really. Getting rid of some of these. The need for these different buffer components is a little annoying. I guess I could pass in, well, no, I can't. I think it's okay. So let's, door proxy one. We're again going to punt on doors because I just don't understand what to do with doors right now with our new system. It's going to be really weird. There's going to be a lot of analysis of the space before we can say something definitive about that. Can I just simplify this to like a single function that's like check edge cases? Like say something like coords equals vector 4i dot 0. We could even say coords equals like, let's even just say get atlas coord. Get atlas coords. And that could have these functions in it that we need. I can actually delete all these. No, maybe I shouldn't. Yeah, I don't like this. I think we're going to do it like this. I think we're going to say get atlas coords. Pass these in. Oh, I haven't defined hull type yet. Say that. Should I call this like atlas coords? Probably. How's the tile stuff coming? It's all right. We're making a pretty big change. So the way it kind of used to work was we had a very rigid structure, and it was like an alternating rigid structure where you'd have this full block, and a full block would be like a pretty big space, and it would essentially consist of potentially a floor and like an upper segment that like maybe it's a door, maybe it's nothing. From a rendering standpoint, we would split the upper segment so that we could do cutaway stuff. And we've been running into problems with this rigid structure. So I kind of want to break it down into a much more basic system where a block is just a block. And so like this floor with empty space above it becomes more of like an emergent property where like maybe you have a full block, maybe you have empty spaces above it that are like sealed on other sides. Maybe if you want to make a wall, instead of that being a specific thing, it's like you just stack blocks. If you want to make a door, you just pick the door block and you stack door blocks. So there's going to be a lot more like checking. There's going to be a lot more implicit structure that needs to be like evaluated. But it makes it a lot more flexible and easy to handle. But it's a pretty big refactor to get it working. Hey, Arneo, how's it going? Happy Tuesday. What have you been up to, Jacob? How's dev life? Holiday madness mostly. You're getting close to another playtest actually. You're dabbling in Blockbench today. Ooh, nice. I would love to have some time to mess around with Blockbench. I like that tool. You can share a recent vid in Discord. Yeah, please do. I'll check it out. Check it out right now. There's a lot of red on the right there. Yeah. Everyone just piling on. We're rewriting the tile drawing system with our refactor Arneo. And so, you know, I just copied the whole system over and now we're going through line by line, fixing stuff, redefining stuff. Yeah, Rihanna Journey literally said the same thing. It's funny. Yeah, we gotta fix fix this function. So okay, so we know what we're doing here at least. So we're saying like get block. We're saying get block face X tile. We're passing in all this stuff. I don't love how we call this, just buffer comp X. I'm gonna call it format comp X. Is it worth just putting this all in one buffer? No, because then it would be packed in and we'd have to like index around it and stuff. It'd be weird. I guess it's fine to have them be separate buffers. I think great minds speak every thought and observation out loud. All right, yeah, let's check this out. Let's check this video out. Let me see. Oh man, this is looking good, Jacob. All right. Let's check this out. I like this dragon. Okay, so we've got this like... I like your timeline on the top. How do you determine the stuff going on the timeline up top? It looks very clearly like it's like a all my stuff goes, then an enemy goes, then all my stuff goes again. Is it like an I go, you go thing, or is it a little more like based on like a raw initiative stat or something? Or is there some like user experience stuff you're doing to make sure the player all gets to move? Oh, you're playing soccer. This is like a soccer game. Oh my god. It never didn't occur to me. Oh, you're doing like Blood Bowl, but with like excuse me, football. Football. This is wild. There's a lot to take in. It's speed, but it groups close teammates. Okay, yeah. It looks like there's some grouping happening. I love this goalie, this dragon goalie. Oh, it's pushing everyone back. Oh, that's awesome. Oh, and now is it going to become like an attacker? Oh, that was so cool. This is great. If you double speed of certain units, you get bonus turns. Oh, cool. Yeah, I really like this. This is a fun idea. Oh, I love the little dice rolls. Little dice roll animations. This is so rad. This is a Godot, yeah? I'm covering up in the bottom right. There's like a nice like turn, like a move list, like battle log. It's really nice. This is great. Unity. Okay, well, we won't hold that against you. Are these rocks like little ropes on like little ropes that come down? It's like, I love the like theater, like the stage backdrop look. Like, I love that this looks like props. Like, I know it's this like pop-up book style, but I really dig it. This is rad. Is there anything you're like specifically looking for in the playtest? Like questions you're trying to answer? Or is it like more of like a vibe check deal? The lack of enemy coloration for some of the units is a little confusing, but yeah, this is super cool. People seem to think those are theaters, but those are actually traps you can make the dragon trigger. Okay. Oh, that's the rope. But I love the stage presentation where like the ropes to me suggest that there is like it's in a theater and there is like a upper, whatever you call it, like a rafters, like where like with catwalks and like sandbags and like, I love the presentation. I think it's really neat. Yeah, this is super cool. I'm really excited to see this continue to evolve. Really tight scope. I love the field. It's like what is this? 5 by 13 with a few extra spots for the goals. This is neat. This is super neat. Were you ever a fan of Blood Bowl? Games Workshop's fantasy, like American football game. I don't mean fantasy football in the way people mean it now. I mean it like an RPG, turn-based tactics game. For the playtest, you're aiming for overall play, feel fun. It's following some big overhauls, how stuff works to make it all more strategic. Yeah, this looks great. Do you do the art? So many questions. It looks so good. Is there a link? Do you have a Steam page for this up or anything? I have so many questions. Oh, Rhiannon's got some questions too. Yep, you use Blood Bowl as a big reference. Certain parts of Blood Bowl are really slow, and the lack of abilities is disappointing. Yeah, I've actually never played the digital version of Blood Bowl, but I played the like actual tabletop game a few times. It's very cool. You made leveling, abilities, items. Yeah, that's great. I think that's great. All right, so we're recreating this function here. I'll just finish these here. Block.faces.y. Format component X. There's no difference in these functions based on this. The only difference is in this format deal. I guess the Z tile behaves differently than the X and the Y. But it actually doesn't in practice, does it? Is there a way to do this where there's just one? I would need to rethink this tile set atlas index buffer thing. I would need to rethink this as a single buffer. I could put offsets because we've got like X. I could have X dimensions. Put this as a vector. You could also add an offset, so I could just have like vector 4s for the different. Instead of having these be separate. I guess I'll keep them separate for now, because who cares? You did the art? Oh, that's amazing, Jacob. The world is crocodile, and the characters are just A-Sprite made sprite billboards. You didn't do any pen and paper testing? It might have helped. Though the game in your mind had to change a lot as it manifested. It's called Fabled Footy. That's so great. No Steam page yet. Really wanted some stuff to come together first. No, yeah, for sure. Yeah, let us know when that drops. That's great. I think that you're off to a great start here. Very excited. We're just gonna try to limit. I need to draw a line somewhere in terms of what is the parameter list for this? Hull key, block tags, format comp. Okay. Hull key, format comp X, block tags. Oh, these are just called tags. Rename these block tags. Yeah, this is looking solid. I agree, Arneo. Looking very, that's very, you definitely have reached the, Jacob, you're definitely reaching a quality level where it very much warrants a Steam release. That's great. Okay, I don't love that the only difference is the format comp that we're passing in. I kind of don't want to do it this way. However, that might change when we start introducing doors. So we're going to get rid of all this stuff. So I'm glad we're doing this in parallel because there's a lot of stuff I'm going to want to reference later. Tiles.add hull key tile. Tile layer count plus hull key.w minus 1. Okay. So I need this get atlas coords function. Well, let's finish writing the rest of this. Let's just presume we've done that. In fact, I kind of think we should be getting the source ID first. Because the stats, the things we need for a tile... Fantasy and Foot can make some wild names. Oh, you're welcome. This is great. How did you do the AI? All right. Yeah, I hope you're not stuck in ads, but you probably are, Jacob. But I'm just going to read your explanation on how you're doing the AI. So each ability has like scriptable AI plays that can be custom or be generic, and they generate scores based on how good the play can be. The units also have moving related AI plays that generate scores. Yeah, difficulties determine how good they do. That's great. That's great. So it's a little predictive. Is it scored in the abstract of like this play generally has this outcome, or is it like actually doing some analysis on the board of like I think we could rush here because like their defense is like deep or something like that? That's very cool. Based on the play, amazing. Any AI oh, okay, so based on the play, so you mean it's like a little bit more statically defined. That's cool. Some it's like closeness to goal. Play will get the ball or distance from enemies. Okay, okay. Yeah, it seems really cool. Because, yeah, it doesn't need to be perfect because the randomness mitigates that a lot. Or not mitigates, but the randomness is such a factor that it's not just like a pick the perfect play for the situation, because execution matters a lot, is what it seems like. Yeah, that's really cool. I really like that. All right, so we're going to get the source ID. So we may be early out. We grab the source ID. We grab the atlas coords with this function that doesn't exist yet, but that's fine. We're just pushing. We're clean coding a little bit and pushing the abstractions or pushing the implementation down a few layers just to free up some of this stuff. I don't like having more than one of these functions. I think I am going to change how this format works, because it actually doesn't make sense storing separate format buffers. Right now, the format would be stored once per thing that implements the format, and that's not good either. I have to think about how I want to handle that. Sorry, I know we're trying to focus, but whatever. I'm just going to copy this part up. Alternative tile. So we don't use alternative tiles anymore, so that's great. So I don't actually have to worry about that. Buffer comp. This is the format component. So this is why I don't want to have to split it, because there is no distinction. Oh, I see why I didn't call this Atlas chords. It gets a little long, but that's fine. So we index into the Atlas buffer like this, and that gives us the actual index, which we then divide by the... All right, okay. Index is a weird use of a word here, but that's kind of accurate. Format comp dot width. Format comp dot width. Okay, so this will get us the tile. We need to push this stuff down here. So let's do that. The Y doesn't work any differently, but the Z does a little bit. Not really, though. Oh, I guess the early out actually is different. A little bit. Is there only going to be one board, or are there boards with environmental factors? You have two truly unique maps. One's much smaller and a garden. There are different scenarios: multi-ball, defend goal, traps, etc. Plan has quite a few more maps with more like elevation. It's the one thing you want before the trailer, because showing variety is so important. That's true. Showing variety in a trailer is pretty important. And having a trailer is pretty important for a Steam page. Good job on it. Looks so good. Definitely will be listening when the Steam page is up. Yeah, likewise. Yeah, that's great. That's really great to see. I'm inspired. All right, let's keep chugging along here. So block contains key plus vector3i.x. Okay, yeah, it makes sense. All right, we're gonna keep it separate for now. It makes sense to have these be separate. There's a world in which they're all unified, but we're not gonna live in that world for a while. And I think that's okay. Not block tags, hull, blah, blah, blah. It needs to be plus. Yeah, plus vector3i.x. All right, putting all the tags in one place is good. This is helping so far. Hulls key. You know, we could have the early out in up here, but yeah, I guess that doesn't make a ton of sense. Oh, yeah, it kind of doesn't make a ton of sense. It's much simpler, at least, so that's something. So we'll do the same thing here, but with the Z, but the behavior is going to be a little different. Block face Z tile, format Z buffer comp. So this is, if it contains the key, a whole key. So this needs to be minus vector3i.z. If we're not cutting that away. Is that accurate? Oh yeah, the door stuff. All right, let's just get it working with hulls. We'll figure out the door stuff later. Getting rid of all this nonsense. That's nice. What's this? Oh. Hey, thanks, Faz on SE2. Appreciate that. All right, so here's all the tile. Here's all the auto tiling rules. This all needs to be changed. I'm going to work on this later. I'm going to try to work on this tonight, see if I can invert these conditions accurately. I don't want to do that right now because that's going to be really tedious. But I think I could do it tonight. Does the output pack tilemap data function work still? Does it need to change at all? Not really. All right, yeah, that's the main thing that's left is to sort those out. What we need to do here is we need to throw in our get our private vector 4i get atlas chords, for which we get a buffer 3D read only of block tags. Get a vector 4i of the hull key. We get a block.hull of the hull type, and we get an optional, or we get a nullable mask. Well, it's not optional. Well, I guess it is. It's sort of optional. Not really, though. Not this one. All right, so we're going to say variable atlas chords equals vector 4i dot 0. Okay. Why are you saying vector 3i? Wait, what the hell? What? Oh. Wait, what is going on? Oh my god, did I never change these? This is returning vector 3i's all the time. Oh my god. Don't make your own primitive types. Just all wrong. Okay, it looks like most of it's correct. Just all that stuff up there was very wrong. Can we just do it like this? Yeah, that should be fine. That was weird. Weird that I've never run into that before. But okay. All right, so we're going to specify this. And then what we're going to do is now we can go through this stupid list of conditionals, which I don't know what they are anymore because I deleted them. Negative was 1. Positive was 2. So we're going to say atlas coords. Well, we can say if has edge negative x. Then we'll say atlas coords equals atlas coords plus with atlas coords dot x plus 1. Like that. Cannot resolve symbol atlas coords. Very weird. It's probably because this is nonsense. So this needs the cutaway information, which is unfortunate. I guess that just means we're passing in the tags. Arneo, you're feeling a bit aimless in your project. You guess you'll fire up the roadmap Word document and make some actual plans for once. I think that's a good thing to do if you're feeling aimless. It's like, if you've got a strong direction, you just keep on keeping on, right? But if you're feeling aimless, I think that's a good thing to do. Question whether you're actually doing what you feel like you need to do. Okay, why doesn't this work? Oh, you don't say that. You just say x plus 1, right? No, you say x equals atlas coords dot x plus 1. There we go. I remember how to do this. So we'll just iterate this. Yep, there we go. This is plus 2. There we are. And then here we can say if atlas coords, what did I do? I had like a simple check to get out of doing some of this work. Yeah, I don't remember what it is now. To the tile system. Next, whenever you feel aimless, so you look at something cool and try to recreate it. Currently, that cool thing is caves. That's reasonable. Arneo, for you right now, that would be the orbital video someone shared on the Discord. That won't actually advance your demo since you're going to leave out the orbital map from that. Yeah, having a specific demo. And then in that case, what you should do is you should make a list of the things that need to be done for the demo to be considered done, right? I don't normally like making task lists, but if I have something concrete like that, like I'm making a demo, that's the time that a task list is good. Because you might not want to work on anything in the task list. Okay, if coords is not equal to vector 4i dot 0. All right, we do that check. I mean, if you don't want to work on anything on the task list, that's a different problem, but like it can provide a lot of direction, just having a task list. I'm not usually one for such things, but I also don't usually have deliverables. Okay, so if it is vector 4i dot 0, we should just return atlas coords. Otherwise, we can do all this. If has corner negative x negative y. All right, I don't remember how this part works either. So negative x negative y is plus 1 for z. Positive x negative y is z plus 2. So the y, so negative y is z. Positive y is W. Negative X is 1. Positive X is 2. Okay. Why do I have to pass in the actual coordinates? What does that help with? Oh, because we actually scrutinize the coordinates. Yeah, it's list time. Hey, Myth. How's it going? Happy Tuesday. You hate making lists, but there might be no way around it. Yeah, not if you've got a concrete deliverable like that you need to get done. You need to find some way to tackle it, or find some kind of approach. All right, so here we're gonna say block tag. Oh no, we need to send in the atlas coordinates. We need to send in the block tags, hull key, etc. So if we say that, we'll say I don't know why we do this if part. We could just have a function that's like check edges, and it manipulates the atlas coordinates based on that. Then I'm just continuing to push the implementation down further and further and further. And at a certain point, the buck needs to stop somewhere. And it's going to be here. I guess here I could rename this to just be chords. God. I think this is fine. It's not X we're working on right now. We're saying, so this is, so negative Y is Z plus 1. Positive Y is W plus 1. If as corner positive X negative Y. Atlas chords. Blah, 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 blah. Atlas chords. Z plus 2. I have to go watch that orbital mechanics video that got shared in the Discord. I'm trying to avoid thinking about doing cool physics stuff like that because we're taking way more of a board gamey kind of approach for us here. All right. Okay, so this is ready. This just needs to be rewritten. I just need to rewrite those auto tile conditions because what we've basically done is we've shoved the auto tile conditions all the way down here, and it's based on type. And I guess I actually have to rewrite these because these different types don't exist. I wonder if that's going to make the rules simpler or more complicated. The fact that we have less type specificity with like the upper bulk, the lower bulk, the deck, plate. It's all kind of just a block now. So in fact, I might actually rewrite some of these functions more, but I think we're going to leave this part pretty much like this. Outputting the data works is just fine. Where are all the errors up here? The errors up here from that. These are all okay. There's an error up here. Right, because these functions don't exist anymore. Three parameters invoked with one argument. What are the other parameters? Block tags, target node, and then mask, right? Block tags. Preview block tags. We got the editor blocks, then we got the editor overlay, to which we also add a mask. Then the rest of this is whatever. I realize we have multiple overlays, so we need to consider that too. Here we're going to say if game.peakState is not equal to game.state.edit, we return. Otherwise, we're going to say set tile map layer data. We need a new, so this isn't going to be editor blocks. It's going to be like editor like inputs. This is going to be like editor.select or something like that. I wonder if we want a separate editor. Instead of editor overlay, it's going to be more like editor inputs and then editor. Actually, that might not be an editor thing. That might be like a blocks select. I don't know. Just do this for now. Good enough. This is game.input.selection, which doesn't need to be turned into anything. Okay, get rid of these. All right, simplified. Yeah, Nix, Arnea has a good point. The caves are an interesting pursuit for you, because before you were doing caves, you were doing like kind of, is it because you were doing like a bunker kind of deal, and now you're doing like, which is like an artificial kind of cave system, and now you're doing like maybe a more natural cave system? Do they go together? Okay, all right, we made good progress here. Yeah, I don't like this. But I can't simplify this much more because this is already the get atlas coords function. We can have like a check edges though, and then check corners. So an alternative to this would be like, you define it and then you say like check edges, or you don't even define it, maybe. Oh, I don't know. Oh. Excuse me. All right, that's okay. I'm okay with that so far. This block cutaway system is going to need to change a lot. I'm really interested I guess what we need to do is we just need to get stuff building. We just need to be able to lay this stuff out. And then we can start thinking about how we evaluate the blocks in the space for things like the flood fill, the block cutaways, all that stuff. You appreciate the interest, Nix, but it's just caves. You have to throw out most of the work you do tonight. Excuse me. I don't know why I'm so yawny all of a sudden. You'll have to throw out most of the work due to how you're creating the cave textures. You made a bunch of low poly rocks. You're instantiating them over a basic cave mesh. Makes it look kind of okay for a cave. The problem is the vertices add up really quickly. Oh, because of the instancing. Interesting. Yeah, I've really done very little work in 3D. I do want to try some of that block bench, though. That's my inner voxel dev. All right, well, we started today with a ton of errors, and we're going to end the day with a ton of errors, too, I think. Because I think I got to wrap it up here. But I appreciate everyone hanging out here. You've been surprised at how easy Blockbench is? Yeah, I'm really interested to try it. I was watching Hillfort Games do a lot of stuff with Blockbench. Their zombie game, Long Gone, is like a 2.5D kind of thing. It's like the characters are all 2D, but the environment is like Blockbench 3D. Oh yeah, he rocked it. Yeah, it was really interesting watching him do that. It made me really want to try it. I think Blockbench. I think there's a world where I made my game in like Blockbench instead of doing this kind of. Instead of doing it this way of like the fake isometric 2D kind of thing that we're all in on. I think there's a world in which I did it with like Blockbench and did 3D. Crocodile is really cool too. Yeah, you mentioned that earlier. I've never heard of that. Let me check that out real quick before we wrap it up here. Crocodile 3D. It says it's a video game. Oh, it's like a modeling software thing. Oh, I have seen this. Crocodile. You don't forget a website like this very quickly. Okay, it seems less voxelized, like Blockbench, but this is neat. This is neat. Okay, so you it's a similar thing in that you create this. You can do the tile set stuff and the modeling kind of in the same workflow, probably, I guess. Crocodile 3D. This seems cool. This is what you're doing for the environment. For your environment. It's neat. Okay, you can import models. You can do the UV stuff directly. It's very cool. It seems very cool. Its modeling is fine. The world placement using tile sets is great. You've been dabbling in more detailed stuff with Blockbench. Okay, cool. Yeah, this is really rad. Yeah, I can't wait to see more of your project. I hope the playtest goes really well. I think we are going to wrap it up here. I have a meeting and I need to run to the bank first, so I got to go do that. Got to run some errands. But this has been fun. Thanks for the stream. No, thank you. Thank you for sharing. It's been really great. We'll be back tomorrow. I'm going to try to have a regular schedule this week. So we'll be back same time tomorrow. Hopefully I'll have made good progress tonight. Arneo, you know very little about the 3D vertices problem. You wonder if you could make the collision mesh simple while having a visually complex organic looking cave. Kind of like trying to hide the complexity with a magic trick where it looks complex but on the hood it isn't. I'm sure there's some way of approaching that, but I think it has to do with the workflow. Looked like less red at the end of the stream than at the beginning. You know, that's all we can hope for, right, Rhiannon? All right, ciao. Thanks to Shenanigans. Thank you all. Yeah, thank you all for hanging out. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will see you all next time. Bye.